Alrighty, so guys,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Good.
Doing well.
Big storm last night.
Survived.
We're all still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Was it 70 miles per hour winds?
I think it was blowing pretty good. My
that-
front yard is a debris field now from the trees. So
I mean, I'm not being funny, but
Yeah.
it needed a leaf blower, didn't
I
it?
did a little bit. Yeah. True.
Right. So today, what are we talking about?
Well, I guess we're talking about healthy snacks or healthy versions of snacks. We're having a bit of a meeting today, as we do, a little off the cuff, and we were talking about various
Okay.
things and decided, why don't we just hit record it while we're talking about these things?
Yeah. Time to learn how to slim down and
Yeah.
check with what we eat.
Let's do it.
All right. Do you ever wonder where your food comes from? That's what got us started on this adventure.
In each episode, we ask experts to weigh in on the food topics that matter to you, from growers to producers to chefs.
And I challenge John, Darren, and you to learn more about your food and the stories behind it. From our hub on Vancouver Island in the beautiful Comox Valley, join us as we explore our edible valley.
And a very good day to you. This is the Edible Valley podcast. My name is William, and I am the producer.
And once again, Jonathan Fraser, chef.
And Darren Howlett, test subject.
Yeah. You have to have a profession. Come on, mate. What's your profession today?
Right now, I don't know.
Idea come upper with her.
Dear Cameron.
We decided today that we're just gonna press record.
Yeah.
And go for it, because whenever we arrive, we sit on the settee and just chat. And it was Sam Brightspark's idea to just do that with the microphone on and see where it leads.
Yeah.
Sure.
That seems to have morphed into us talking about snacks.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
we were
which is great.
talking about health and exercising and
Yeah, we're coming
Doing
into
things.
we're coming into the fall months, and that's coming up on winter and the hibernation, the whole.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is a crucial time when you start to get into the rut of poor snacking habits. That comfort food time, things are getting
Yeah.
colder,
Oh,
wetter.
God, I love potato chips.
Oh,
Did I tell you how
oh,
much
yeah.
I love potato chips? I will eat them all.
Come on,
Breakfast,
let's
lunch,
just
and dinner.
dive straight in then. So, what favourite potato chips?
Oh, I will eat anything as long as they crunch in my mouth. I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm almost the same way. It's more about the crunch. I
Yeah?
need the crunch. Yeah, I'm willing to have any chips so long as they've got the crunch and a bit of saltiness.
Chips and dip. Oh,
Green- oh,
I'm not big on dip.
I don't-
I just have my sick little things that I do, and that's
Why
one of
is crinkle cut better?
Getting more crunch. You get
More crunch?
There's more surface area. There's
Yeah.
more there, right?
them. You get more dip.
Yeah, I'm more dip. It's all about dip. There's a show, I think.
It's right there.
And Pringles.
Yeah.
What's going on there then?
They're not even allowed to call themselves chips anymore.
Is that right?
Yeah, because or potato chips. They have to call themselves chips. There's less than 50% potato in the composition of a Pringle.
What is it?
They're not allowed to call themselves potato chips anymore. I don't know. I just
Cardboard.
I heard a little factoid
They're
the other day.
delicious. Don't pretend.
Oh, I know. It's a
Yeah.
seasoning on top of them, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever they sprinkle on top of them, you're like,
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, so the price of Pringles appears to it defies inflation.
Right.
Because we've all seen them for $5 or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
generally speaking, I've always seen them for like $1.25. Like growing up, they were 99p.
Right.
And then now I still see them for like $1.25 in Superstore at the moment,
Right.
for example. How's that happening?
Great business growth model.
Yeah.
They're able to just continue to keep growing, which keeps the prices down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. With all
Everyone
the
wants to
quality
do those
ingredients.
duck lips.
yeah. I actually watched a YouTube video of them speculating what the body of the Pringles man looks like, and this is a whole thing.
Yeah.
And apparently there are certain pictures you just can't unsee. But okay, so new Pringles flavors.
Sure. What?
Wendy's Baconator flavor.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. You know what? People are tuning in. They're like, oh, we're going to learn about healthy snacks. And we're like, Pringles, Baconator.
Let's talk about some healthy snacks.
Well, you know what? Because Will brought bacon.
Oh God.
hello.
What? Did you bring a snack?
I brought a snack. I brought a snack.
Oh,
Excited.
find it.
Apples.
Fresh apples.
fresh
off,
apples
off my
of-
parents'
I
tree.
was just gonna say
Oh, is
these are
that
off someone's
right?
tree.
Oh, mate,
can
these
tell.
look really good.
Yeah.
Look at that.
This is my brother's tree actually, because when we were kids, my parents bought 2 apple trees.
Oh,
One,
nice.
one was a Jonathan apple tree.
Yeah.
And the other one was a Spartan, which these
Yeah.
are. So they called it the Jonathan tree and the Jeremy tree.
Nice.
So we both, anyways, the Jonathan are freaking amazing, and so they usually get eaten before any of the other ones. So
Yeah, I did the
these
same.
Spartans are not
There's-
bad. So
There's the kids have a pear and an apple tree at the house for same reason when they were born, planted trees in their
That's a
honor.
lovely idea.
Yeah. Yeah, healthy snacks, apples, interesting.
Well, let's go from the top.
Sure.
To snack or not to snack?
I think
That's a good question.
Snack.
Yeah.
I think you're more informed on that than I am, at least. Like I am a snacker, but not not like, pardon the pun, not a cereal snacker. Like I don't
I love a good pun. That was good.
but like I don't have to have snacks every day, but I would say every second day snacks work their way into what
Yeah.
I'm doing. Yeah.
So in context, I'd say the risk with snacks is that you end up eating too many calories a day. And a snack really is the thing that you can easily cut to stop that being the case.
Right.
The first thing you need to look at when you're looking at losing a bit of weight or whatever you want to call it is eating less food. It's
Right.
as simple as that. It's about, and to do that, you want to measure. I'd say measure calories. There are lots of ways of doing it. You can just listen to your body.
Right.
And if you're not hungry, don't eat. That's a really good way of doing it if you don't want to count calories. But that is the argument with
Right.
snacks.
And so you're saying that essentially, if I'm extrapolating, the best way to reduce the amount of food you're eating is just eliminate the non-meals.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
just focus
That's-
on
yes.
that. There's quite a bit of science. Now, I'm no massive expert on this,
Right.
but the basic science of it is a lot about when your body is in a position to burn fat from your stores. And I could go really deep into that
Yeah.
science, but essentially it's to do with blood sugar and things. I'm having a bit of a brain block. What's that?
Insulin?
Thing? Insulin. There we
Yeah.
go. So insulin, when your insulin level is really, really low, then you're in a position for your body to go and start taking fat from your deep storage.
Right.
When there's insulin present, then it can't take from that deep storage
Right.
area. So think of it as your body storing things in a fridge and a freezer.
Yeah.
Stuff in the freezer, it takes longer. You need to defrost it and stuff like that. You can only take from the freezer, which is your belly and your bottom and wherever else. You can only take from that when there's a low level of insulin. If I have
Interesting.
this apple now, my insulin will spike
Right.
and my body will stop taking from my bum and my bottom and my tummy
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of when people say they fast, they stop eating at 6 at night and they start eating again at 11 in the morning the next day. That is in order to increase the amount of time where you have very, very low insulin, and so it can start pulling from that area.
Right.
Look, I could go on about this forever.
Yeah.
But that's the idea with snacking, to
Right.
reduce the amount of times your insulin's up and down.
Right.
Right.
Now, the other side of it would be something along the lines of saying, well, you're going to get more hungry between snacks, and then you're going to be vulnerable to
Overeating.
bacon,
Overeating.
cheeseburger,
Right.
Pringles, and things like that.
Yeah.
So, them's your choices.
Right. Which I think kind of brings up what you were talking about, John, is just if it comes to it, or really what the apple's for is to make better choices if you have to do the snack.
I think that's how we always end up on this, and
Yeah.
we're all, we all break these rules all the time.
Yeah.
But it's taking a chance, and that's the things that like I'm trying to work on myself too. Is like I bought a big bag of grapes the other day because I'm that kind of guy who gets home and I start munching on food after
Yeah.
work, and and I'm a snacker.
Yeah.
And I usually I don't have a.
But you're
I
a
don't have-
grazer. Like
Yeah.
you sort of eat a little bit all day because you don't really sit down and eat meals that much. You
I
have
don't
a
really
meal.
sit down during the
Yeah,
day, so
yeah.
that's kind of where I come at it from. So
Yeah.
like at work, and I find like my job is eating, right?
Yeah.
My job is I make a soup. I got to taste the soup. Does it taste right? You know, if someone makes a sauce, I have to taste it to make sure they've done it right. You know, it's just to keep those standards up. So I find my day at work is like eating. And so sitting down for breakfast, lunch, and dinner doesn't always work for me because I remember once realizing that I made a soup, like 16 liters of soup once, and I ended up having like 2 cups of that soup because I couldn't get it to taste right. You know, because I'm like, it was too bitter. And then I was like, so I tried sweetening it up with like so I added apple juice or something like that.
Right.
And, you know, to bring up that flavor level. And then, I needed more salt. And then it needed more of this, a little
And then
spice.
it becomes to it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotcha.
and so that's like a 1 spoon, 2 spoon, 3 spoon, 4 spoons. So that's how it kind of builds up.
Yeah.
But so on that end, I'm starting to try and get away from bread items. I think that's it.
That's probably a good
And
one.
I think just looking at vegetables and doing those. And so,
Well, for me, I've started making better choices, and they're not new choices. They were always there for me. But like, for instance, my kids like lasagna, and just like I used to love lasagna. It's not as high up on my priority list anymore, but sure, who doesn't like a good lasagna? So one of the things I've done though is that tomato sauce, I in the past would just use this is where one of my quick fixes were, right? I would make all the other ingredients from scratch, but that tomato sauce, I just buy store-bought tomato sauce. And then I switched to just crushed tomatoes, where I was like, okay, so let's not have all these additives and preservatives and sugars and whatever. Let's move to something that's just crushed tomatoes, and I can make a sauce out of that. But even that's got a high salt content. It just says, tomatoes and salt, but the salt content is huge. So then I was like, okay, well, let's take it one step further. I made lasagna the other day, and 100% was made by me for that sauce, where I just roasted tomatoes and cooked tomatoes down. But then I roasted a couple of pans of vegetables. So I had leeks, onions, garlic, carrots, celery, roasted it all, pureed everything together, and made a really nice sauce. But obviously it's a little more dense now. And that lasagna turned out amazing, but I could only eat half of what I would normally eat. But that's also because it's now so dense with healthy foods and vegetables. It's literally purely vegetables with a couple layers of noodle. So like I saw that and I was like, maybe I should be doing more of this, eating, these veggie dense, no preservatives, and eating less quantity, And I even dialed back on the cheese a bit.
The cheese. If you've ever calorie counted on cheese, the smallest amount, and you're like, whoa, that's like half your fat for the day. It's scary. It's sometimes easier just not to look.
Will just ruins everything for me.
Well, what's funny about cheese is I used to frame it as it's just milk. Milk's not that bad for you, and I'm not a milk drinker, but it's not. It's more, you got to put it in context of, think of that as a chunk of cream. Because and if you envision eating a chunk of cream of that same size, you're like, whoa,
Right.
Yeah.
But it tastes so good.
It does.
I love cheese.
Oh, you gotta love
it's a
cheese.
great snack. I'll just cut up a couple pieces.
Well, there we go. We're talking healthy snacks. I don't know if that makes that list, even though it can be such a natural and pure food. I wouldn't call eating a bit of cheese a healthy snack.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're getting into junk food versus food that's not junk but is still not got the right components. Cheese, if you buy some nice brie or something like this, it's not generally going to be full of E numbers and things like that.
Right.
However, it's still got the wrong components to it's got a higher fat and all that.
Yeah,
kind of
and these are some things you do need in your diet, right? Like,
Right.
feel
I
like-
mean, if you need a little bit of protein to get you to the next step.
Yeah.
I like the idea of snacking to cure being hangry. I just like that word.
Oh yeah.
Because there's those moments that you're just like, you get a little grumpy and you're like, you get frustrated with people and you're like, "Rrr," and you know what? You go take a bite of something and all of a sudden you're like, just maybe even like a granola bar, know, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, when I used to work in a restaurant, we always used to have a fresh focaccia bread on the go, and any customers that weren't pleasant when they walked in the door, focaccia bread on the table. Oh yeah, be happy straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It
good,
sorted them right out. Yeah.
unless they're gluten free, and then they're like,
yeah. All right, let me just go to the freezer. So I'm going to just chuck to you a couple of snacks that really work for me. When I'm really in
let's
the
hear it.
zone. Full disclosure, not massively in the zone at the moment, but I've been into the zone. I know what it looks like. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this in Canada actually, but cottage cheese and pineapple.
Yes.
Have you had that before? Is that a thing?
Yes. Actually, back in the 70s.
Jesus.
When I was like 3. So I'm talking the end of the 70s, like 1979, when I was 2 or 3. I remember
During the war.
during the war.
I remember my mom would have that, and I didn't know what to make of it, but
Yeah.
she would have that for a snack.
So cottage cheese, I can't say it probably. Cottage cheese goes really well with sweet things.
Right.
Pineapple, though, it's very, very sweet, and I find it's, for various reasons, quite difficult to buy. Blueberries.
Yeah.
So I
Blueberries,
just
amazing.
go to Superstore, go to wherever, get some decent cottage cheese, and then add a couple of spoonfuls of blueberries in there. As a snack, it's delicious. You're getting a superfood. You're getting a lot of protein from the cottage cheese. Tastes delicious. And about 10 minutes after eating it, you're just like, oh, I'm not tempted to have a burger anymore.
Yeah.
It's like a temptation killer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, going back to what you were saying about cottage cheese, it just reminded me when my kids were little, we used to make a lot of their food. I used to make a lot of their food, actually. When they were really little and they were teething and just sort of getting into solid foods, I took cottage cheese and I would just take herbs and immersion blender, puree it up so it was a dip, and I used that as a dip for their veggies or whatever. But it was like I just need to make sure they're getting a little protein, you know, a little. And for kids, fats are good. You know, they need to build a body out of something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean and then you're getting into the area of sugar versus fat.
Yeah.
Sugar's the actual demon. Fat
Right.
actually a lot less the demon.
Yeah.
By comparison. Yeah.
Right.
I mean I've noticed my weight dropped a lot the minute I cut the sugar out.
Yeah.
Fat it is a component, but nowhere near as much.
Yeah.
And often when you buy low fat things, there's sugar in there to replace it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that was I think the biggest scam brought on people, that we were like, let's go low fat, everything will be. And they're like, but it tastes gross, so we'll just throw a bunch of sugar in there to balance out. And I think yogurt. This is what happened with yogurt.
Right.
And then so everyone's eating this low fat yogurt, thinking it's super healthy and good for them, but
It's high sugar, which is actually the problem that you were trying to solve.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important with anything like that to know that 4 grams of sugar is a teaspoon. Then you can visualize how much sugar is in there very easily, and you'll be disgusted. If you buy yogurt that's any yogurt in the supermarket that's flavored, the flavor is sugar. Just forget the word flavor. It's sugar, added sugar. Now you can get the sweetness by just doing a 180, looking at the frozen section. I'm thinking Superstore, but it's in the same kind of place.
Yep.
And getting some frozen fruits.
Yeah.
And just microwaving it for 30 seconds, defrosting it, plumping it together. And then you're getting slow releasing energy where it's good for you, and it's not just sugar.
sugar.
Yeah. I think that's one of the keys too that I need to look at. And I've never been a big sweet tooth, and that doesn't mean that I'm not falling, to the pitfalls or pitfalls of sweet things. I realize there's a lot of sugar in my diet, but I don't actively vie or look for. I'm not somebody I've never liked chocolate that much. I'm not somebody that ate a lot of candy. Is that
possible?
I'm a big savory guy, but but at the same time, I know I consume a lot of sugar because it's in a lot of the things that I eat. So I'm not sure how to get around that without actually just doing more of what I was saying with the lasagna, where instead of anything store bought, I'm making everything from scratch myself. So I can monitor it. And even then, I say, I roasted a couple sheets of vegetables. John will tell you right there. What am I doing with that? By roasting them, I'm bringing out their natural sweetness, right? So like I can say that I'm not interested in sugar, but I am.
Yeah, you like the sweetness, the flavor.
Right, in the vegetables when they're cooked that way.
And that's like a lot of fruits and vegetables have a lot of sugar in them. That's why we like eating them. So. Yeah. Actually, one of the things that going back to my hangry thing, and that it always gets me is that you can buy a boiled egg
I think
at
you
the
brought that up, by the way.
supermarket. I may just keep bringing. This is going to be my ongoing thing on the show, but it's one of those ones. I'm like, when you're going in grocery shopping, having a little snack before you go in there, helps you make some proper decisions.
Well, and that whole thing too. I mean, in defense of, like, sometimes people are really trying so hard. I know somebody right now. I'm not going to mention her name, but somebody we were talking the other day. And she became very aware and very concerned of her protein intake. And I was trying to throw options out there for her, being that I know a bit about food. And that was one of those things too, was the fact that, there are hard-boiled eggs ready to go. If you're like feeling like you haven't met your quota or need and you're out, you can stop into the grocery store and buy some hard-boiled eggs, like they're there.
Yeah.
Which seems ridiculous.
That is an appetite killer.
Yeah.
Like that. They really
Yeah.
do sort
Yeah.
you out.
it's a good source of protein, like right there, pretty quick.
So a lot of the fast food places do an ice cream. I'm not going to go there with brands.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You can buy an ice cream. It comes with a little spoon.
Sure.
Really, really innocent. They're large size, which isn't, I'm not talking milkshake where it's a giant gallon. I'm talking, most of the fast food chains have one
Have
of
an
these.
ice cream dessert, sort of. Yeah,
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the large one of those, which is not particularly large, that's the point, in a popular fast food place, has 25 teaspoons of sugar in it. So think how quickly you would knock one of them back.
Yeah.
And it's got 25 teaspoons. Now, don't think heap teaspoon, think level.
Yeah.
That's 4 grams, 103 grams of sugar, which works out to,
Holy
roughly speaking, 25 teaspoons of sugar. Now, you're supposed to have about 4 teaspoons a day. Supposedly,
That's my coffee intake every day.
do you do that? Do you add sugar to coffee?
I add a little sugar to my coffee, and
Yeah,
I'm
you see, I
always
drink black
fighting
coffee.
on that.
Yeah,
so.
that's a good thing. Drink black coffee, because whenever anyone adds any form of flavor to their coffee, that's sugar. Forget the word flavor. Forget pumpkin spice. It means sugar. That's all it means.
Yeah. That's true.
No one's up there hacking up pumpkins.
No.
But you know
Do you
what?
even know what pumpkin tastes like?
Well,
I mean,
pumpkin
you
spice.
might do, I
Pumpkin
don't know.
spice doesn't imply that it's spiced as a pumpkin. It's the combination of spices that we use when cooking pumpkins. So there's a bit of a misnomer there.
Oh,
Right,
I
it's
didn't
that
know
same. It's that same. It's not. We're not trying to make the coffee taste like a pumpkin. We're trying to make it taste like the flavors that we add to pumpkin.
Does everyone know that?
No,
Or
I
is
don't
that just
think
me?
so.
No.
I mean, pumpkin
Interesting.
spice is really what four spices.
Yeah, you're looking at me like I know what it is.
I'm
No,
trying to think.
It's like cinnamon, nutmeg,
Right.
allspice,
spice.
Yeah.
and mace, or
Yeah, one of those
the cloves. No, cloves.
cloves. Yeah,
yeah,
that sounds right.
yeah. That's it. That's pumpkin spice.
So I found in the back of my cupboard.
But yeah, if pumpkin spice coffee absolutely also has sugar.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
a
it
lot.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a chocolate bar in terms of the sugar you're having. It's
true.
Yeah, I found I like making mulled cider and mulled wine, and I found the spice mix in the back of the cupboard the other day, and I just gave it a big sniff, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that time of the season.
We're in fall.
Oh, we totally blew it. Cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, clove.
Ginger clove. So it's not allspice
had to be
clove.
some of that,
Okay.
yeah. Right. Okay. This has been a bit more of a whizzy one today.
Yeah.
I think we could just go on forever.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, snacking. Maybe this is the beginning of a larger conversation.
Exactly. Well, maybe it's some people out there, if they want to send us some of their great healthy snack ideas that sort of cut the cravings and are good for you. Like I know we touched base on a few things like fruits and vegetables. And,
Yeah.
And staying away from the sugary snacks as much as possible, and some of the bready snacks. I think like the potato chips, which is
So what you're
it's a
going to do
vegetable.
is I know you're listening to us on your phone. You're going to go into your phone, go into your email. You're going to email us at the Edible Valley and tell us your snack options. And then we're going to comment on it next time.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, that was really nice little snappy one. This has been the Edible Valley Podcast, episode number 97?
195.
Oh, getting there.
So close.
And hey, we got a little bit of a thing coming up. We got a little bit of another celebration, a milestone.
What?
We're almost at 60,000 downloads. 60,000 downloads.
An episode.
Yeah.
Each episode 60,000.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a bit of a milestone. That
Yeah.
we will, let's figure out a way to celebrate that. We'll come back to you with something.
Let's have
get
some
really
great
drunk.
snacks.
Alrighty. So it's been the Edible Valley Podcast, episode 195-ish. Almost 60,000 downloads. I'm William. I am the producer.
I'm Chef Jonathan Fraser.
And I'm Darren Howlett. Thanks.
Great guy.
And that wraps up another episode of the Edible Valley Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and a special thanks goes to the local businesses that help support our podcast. They make it possible for us to showcase your local food community. We'd love you to follow us on your preferred social media at Edible Valley, where you can check out our blog, find recipes and tips, behind the scenes, and of course keep a lookout for where we are going to turn up next in your Edible Valley.
So, yeah.
And this has been an Edible Valley production.
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. Ready again?